Welcome to Redtastic. Story 1. So I, 26 female, have a sister 24 who has 2 kids with a boyfriend. A year ago, her boyfriend left her and now she's left to take care of the kids all on her own. She struggled to make ends meet and raise her children, so I always make sure to help. I babysat the kids sometimes, lent a hand with their schoolwork, and I always visit them during holidays. A few weeks ago, her car broke down and she asked me to drive the kids to and from school until she got her car fixed. As usual, I agreed to help her. I drove the kids to school, despite occasionally being late for work. I had thought it wouldn't take a while, but a few days passed and I was still the one taking the kids to school. Lately, my sister has also been very secretive. She would always be on her phone, and when I ask her about it, she tries to change the subject and how she's dropping her kids off for me to babysit more often than usual. I didn't pry much on her business because I trusted her. Something about me is that I trusted my sister too easily. When she asked to borrow my car a week ago for an urgent doctor's appointment, or so she claimed, I reluctantly agreed. My car is my lifeline, and I rely on it to commute to work every morning. However, I understood that family comes first, so I let her take it, believing her story. I had to suffer daily public transportation to go to work. But at least she can use the car to take the kids to school while she has it. Days passed, and my car was still nowhere to be seen. I decided to pay her a visit, only to find her at home with no car in sight. When I asked about my car, she acted baffled and insisted she never borrowed it. That's when I realized something was going on. I couldn't understand how my sister could forget borrowing my car or why she would lie about it. It raised questions about her recent secretive behavior. No matter how much I tried telling her that she borrowed it a few days ago, she just denied it. I decided to investigate, checking the GPS history on my car from my phone, and there it was. A clear record of her using it during the time she claimed she hadn't. Furious and feeling betrayed, I confronted her again along with the evidence. She was still lying and saying it wasn't her, but I clearly remember her borrowing my car. She kept acting like she never got my car, so I had no choice but to threaten her that I was going to report her if she didn't come out clean about her actions. This is when she started breaking her facade, but she still held firm that she didn't steal my car. It's because she didn't believe I could call the cops on her. The next day, I did just that. I called the cops to her doorstep. She was shaken to her core and admitted everything to the police and promised she would return my car. I also said I was going to settle as long as she returned my car. After that, she came barging into my house, lashing out. She kept saying how terrible of a sister I was, and I blew a simple family matter out of proportion. She said she feels entitled to use my car as she pleases since I'm her sister, and told me how big of an a-hole I am for involving the police. How else would I have gotten the truth out of her? Am I the a-hole? Update. Thank you for all the nice comments and advice. I had just found out from a friend that my sister was seeing someone. The guy was a bad influence on her. He didn't like that she had kids, and even suggested once that she leave her kids. It was also the reason why she lied to me a lot. She did finally return my car, but I think the bond we had was not gonna be the same anymore. I'll still try to visit the kids during important holidays, but I don't think I can do my sister any favors, and I want to distance myself from her life from now on. You're not the a-hole, OP. Your sister borrowed your car and she denied ever borrowing it. Situations like that are frustrating and annoying, especially since she continued to deny it even after you confronted her with evidence. You did the right thing involving the cops. If you hadn't involved them, you would not have gotten your car back. Your sister became a terrible sister when she took your car and lied about taking it even though she was aware that you needed the car for work. I hope she gets smart enough to realize her new guy is bad for her. For the sake of herself and her kids, please continue to check in on the kids once in a while. As for your sister, not being so close to her anymore is a good thing, at least until she apologizes to you. Story 2. I took my nieces out to help my sister-in-law have an afternoon to herself. They're 10 and 12, so they're mostly easy. We had a day out where we went on a quick park walk together to see the dogs, went to Target, went to a bookstore, and I made them sack lunches so we ate them in a different park. Everything was going fine until they asked if we could go get a treat. I figured we could go get a pack of those small mini cupcakes at the grocery store. But when we got there, they both demanded venti frappuccinos. They insisted their mom got them all the time. I asked if they meant they wanted to share a frappuccino. They said no. They each wanted their own because they wanted different flavors. 12-year-old wanted Java chips and 10-year-old wanted vanilla. Keep in mind, those drinks are both over 500 calories. It wasn't anyone's birthday or a special occasion, and I don't want them to associate me with that. Hell, I wouldn't even get myself a venti frappuccino. And I'm an adult woman and I'm definitely no supermodel. They both got upset, and when they went home they told their mom how mean I was. She asked me why I didn't get them the frappuccinos, and I said that was too much sugar for them and that I had gotten them a carton of mini cupcakes and they each ate one instead. I didn't say anything about calories to the kids or to my sister, just about how it was too much in general. My sister is now publicly shaming me because I'm the mean auntie who won't give a kid a treat. Her friends and followers turned it into a whole rant about diet culture and how kids shouldn't even have to think about that stuff, which I agree with, and why I never said anything to them about it, but it's up to adults to guide them to make healthy decisions. And I think a cupcake is better, and honestly cheaper, than a coffee slushie. Am I the a-hole? OP, even though you're technically not obligated to buy the kids anything, you would have been fine if your stance was something like, I don't buy things for the kids. Or maybe even, I don't buy unhealthy food for the kids. But once you've decided on purchasing the kids a sugary treat, now you're just arbitrarily forcing them to not have the one thing they want, and instead the one you want to give them. It's not a matter of guiding them to make healthy choices at that point, since you already decided to buy a sugary treat. Cupcakes aren't healthy either, and it's not clear that eating several cupcakes would be substantially fewer calories than the drink. Anyway, now for some comments. You're the a-hole and pretty ignorant of calories and instead are using a moral compass when deciding dietary habits. A mini cupcake is around 100 calories, a dozen would be around 6 each if you didn't have any, so it wouldn't be an extremely different amount of calories either. A good compromise would have been agreeing on grande frappes because you guys just ate lunch and needed to save an appetite for dinner. You're the a-hole. Not for wanting them to get the drink, but for fixating on the calorie count as the reason. I'm eyeing the supermodel comment too. While it's alright to encourage healthy eating, a treat once in a while won't hurt them. I'm not super comfortable with people calorie counting kids. You could have just ordered the smallest size. Is the drink good for them? Heavens no. But I feel like a fun outing with an aunt is a perfect opportunity to hang loose and indulge in some Starbucks. Not the a-hole. I agree that it's too many calories, especially for a beverage, but I also take issue with how Starbucks markets to kids and gets them in the mindset that a $6 plus, 500 plus calorie beverage is an expected treat or daily extravagance. Good for you for not caving. I think it's also okay to point out how many calories are in a drink and provide context, which can be hard to do if you're not a dieter, but even to be able to say, remember that piece of chicken you had last night? It has less calories than this sugary drink and has a lot of protein, which is useful for your body and keeps you full longer. Or for cost comparisons, with my ice cream obsessed daughter, I usually point out that one Starbucks drink is the same cost as 2 half gallons of ice cream. Kids need to understand why we say yes or no to small and large choices on their behalf, so they can decide if they would agree on those reasons when they are faced with the same question on their own. Story 3. I put aside money when my children went to college in order to buy them their first house. This money was from an inheritance I had received. The only caveat being that I had to wait a few years between taking the money out. So only one house could be bought first. My youngest was expecting a child with his wife, so I bought his house in 2018 first. My oldest was not happy with this, but I convinced him it was the better decision. I can now take out the remaining money to give to my oldest. Well, he's now asking me to buy a house for him in the same area as his brother. But since 2018, house prices have quite literally doubled. The money I put aside can in no way pay for that. And this has created a huge conflict in my family, with my oldest being extremely angry at me. I've apologized, but I didn't think the market would be so unaffordable. I offered to give him the entire amount to do as he wishes, as well as leave the difference between his brother's 2021 house value and the cash gift amount given to him from my estate in my will if the money is there. My oldest took the money, bought a house in a different state, and we now have a very tense relationship. I'm incredibly sad that what I thought would be a lovely gift has broken up the family. I feel even worse because this has messed up the relationship between my two sons. Am I the a-hole? Now for some comments. I'm hesitant to call you an a-hole for an incredibly generous gift, but I'm going to go against the grain and softly say, you're the a-hole. You could have split the money up fairly, but instead you made yourself the judge over their life choices and arbitrarily decided against your older son. This isn't really about the money. It's about the way you decided who deserved what when. If you want to fix this, I think a genuine apology and admitting that you made a mistake might go a lot further than a cash gift in your will. You're the a-hole. I don't understand why you wouldn't split the amount you could take out between them so they could both afford a down payment on a home, and then split the remainder when you could to help them pay off the mortgage. A simple look at housing over the past 5 years shows housing costs increased over wage increases and above any kind of CD or money market fund interest rate. Frankly, if you helped with a down payment, I don't see why you would even need to pay off the house. Why does one kid need an entire house free and clear while the other kid has to rent for 2 more years? People with children can still pay a mortgage. You're the a-hole for playing favorites and then expecting when things didn't work out perfectly, your oldest would be okay with it. Commenters here are saying your money is your choice, and that's true. You picked the son you deemed needed the most. And that's maybe fair or maybe not, but now you get to live with the consequences of said choice. By the way, why was your inheritance not invested? If you had a half-decent planner or advisor managing the funds, it would have grown substantially over the past 2 years. Maybe not as much as the real estate in the area, but a heck of a lot as well. Next time you are ever faced with something similar, you should split what can be withdrawn 50-50. That said, if it's a situation between the two again, favor the oldest this time to balance things out.